Hello, I'm Ken Carlston from Salt Lake City. I was born in 1955, so I'm an old fart. And when I was in middle school and started learning of the atrocities that happened in Germany and what the Nazis were doing with the people, as a young boy, I said to myself, God, if I were there, I would have done something. I would not have just allowed these atrocities and horrific actions to go on. I would have done something. I would have done anything, but there's no way I would just sit back and let it go on. And I've often thought since then, would I? What would have I done? Never been faced with it, I don't know. But then I also hear, well, the people and the citizens of Germany didn't know what was going on. They knew nothing about it. And quite frankly, I'm sure there's some that didn't. But I'm sure there's also a lot of them that sat there and knew what was going on, smelled what was going on, and they were fearful. I get it. They didn't know what to do. I get it. And so they did nothing. And now today, I believe we're faced with something very, very similar. Because back in 1965, somewhere, maybe even before that, there was a movie that us kids liked. It was The Russians Are Coming, The Russians Are Coming. And my point there is that the Russians have been a foe of ours since I was a kid. And it's always been Russia's this and Russia that, and they're the enemy. And then now today, we are hearing that, no, they're the good guys. Even though 3 years ago, when they attacked Ukraine, I believe most Americans were totally incensed that this even happened and could happen. And that they were it was illegal and it was unjustified and it was absolutely wrong. And I was proud to be an American at that point because we did come to the party. We did say, Ukraine, we will help you. And if you guys recall, I think the entire world was thoroughly impressed with the way the Ukrainian people handled the war and fought for themselves. And they knew at that time, they had the support of European countries and of the greatest military power in the world. So when those mothers from Ukraine sent their kids off, their young boys and girls off to fight for their land and to fight that aggression, they knew they had our support. Think back to that time. I traveled throughout the U.S. a little bit at that time, and you'd see Ukrainian colors on bridges and in cities, and we were all coming together. We were supporting. God, I'll go back even farther than that. Do you remember the documentaries where you'd watch with World War II, where when the Americans came in and they saved the city from Nazi Germans and would walk through the streets and everybody was cheering and yelling and America was great. And that we say, let's make it great again. Well, damn, it was great back then. Tom Brokaw wrote that book, The Greatest Generation Ever. I'm sure most of you have read it, and it is. We, the United States at that point, we were to be proud of. We fought, we stuck with our allies, and we were there, and we did everything we could, and we pulled together as a nation. My God, read all about that, I'm sure you have. Again, the sacrifices that people made in the United States, outside the United States, sending people there. My father was in World War II and overseas. And fortunately, he came back alive, and how many didn't? But the point is, we were there, and the Allies could trust on us. And from the French people I've talked to today, they still are thankful for the Americans. And now today, with Ukraine, and after having given them support, we're turning around and saying, no, Putin's a good guy. Yeah, we're going to switch sides. Sorry, Ukraine, we're not doing anything more. In fact, we'd like half of your natural resources so that to cover our expenses for the past 3 years, which is about $174 million. And we're still, the European countries have paid more for that war, and we actually, as the United States, paid more for World War II than any other country. That's who we were. We could be proud of who we were back then. But I was talking to my sister and I saying, hey, we have got to do something. We are in this. And she said, no, I don't feel I'm a part of doing this with Ukraine and not supporting them anymore, because my heart is with them and I am with them. And I'm saying, wait a minute. We cannot ignore we are American citizens. The president and our senators and our government, they work for us. So if we sit back today and say, well, I don't agree with it, but what can I do? Damned us, huh? We're better than that. We are better than that. Can you imagine 10, 15 years from now, 20 years, 30 years, 100 years, and our distant relatives are saying, so what did Grandpa or Grandpa do back then when this atrocity happened and we turned our back? Well, what could they do? And they didn't know about it. And of course, at that point, they say, bullshit. They damn well knew about it. It was in all the news. I know about it, and I wasn't even alive at the time. Guys, we know what's going on. We are Americans. And what we are doing is wrong. And it's up to every one of us. The United States of America is us. And that means you, that means me, that means my sister, that means my brothers, that means my kids. That means all of us. We are all in this together. And so we damn well better get out there and make sure that we don't abandon our allies and our friends in our world community. Because damned us if we do. I hope you contact your senators, your governors, hold a picket sign, travel to DC, strike. Think of it, get creative. But now I'm going to, and I really hope all of us can get behind this and be the Americans that we once were. We say we want to make America great again. Well, by God, we better act great. Thanks for listening.